Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You are most welcome to Salam TV. Our viewers, today it's a special day. Amukirize nsoke mbanjulire nti olwaliro bigenda kukyuka mu katono tugendeko mu lufuutifuuti olw'omugenyi waffe gwe tulina. So twagala kakati mutandika okuwawula buli kirasi gye mwali mugenzeemu nti bigenda kutambula bulungi. Nze muganda wammwe atudde mukulu w'Abaganda bammwe Karim Kalisa nga twaniriza omugenyi waffe omusomesa waffe gwengenda okubanjulira mu ddakiika emu. Our viewers, I introduce to you the visiting Imam. First say salam to our viewers, then I introduce you to our viewers.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. With a smiling face. He's our brother. Most of you, he may not be new, and to some of you, he might be new. Your host Karim Kalisa, as usual, with our guest from America. He's called Imam Muhammed Bashar, Arafat. He has been here for some time. He's a traveler. He moves all over the world, talking to people. His role as an Imam is to look for people, discuss with people, dialogue with people in different categories, in different manner, at all levels. So today we have him here in Uganda, trying to talk to Ugandans, and inshallah, for our viewers, let me tell you this before we go on, that today we are honored that he will be the Khatib. He will give the ceremony at Uganda Muslim Supreme Council. So if you feel that you want to feel our Imam more, please, immediately after this program, let's all of us head to Uganda Muslim Supreme Council. First, welcome him in Uganda, at the same time to listen to his sermon. He prepared all the way from America to Uganda. Brother Bashar, you are most welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here.
Alhamdulillah.
At Salam TV, talking to a wonderful person that I had the pleasure of meeting in 2015, and also talking to my dear brothers and sisters, Muslims and Christians and others in this beautiful country, the Pearl of Africa.
The Pearl of Africa, MashaAllah, the Pearl of Africa. Someone from America says the Pearl of Africa. Do you know the meaning of pearl? Are you a Paris? So we will know as we go on. So they like that word, you should also like it more. So brother Imam, before I take you direct to our program, so far this is your third time coming to Uganda. How do you find Uganda in comparison to other places you visit?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful. I'm really so happy and thankful to Almighty Allah for the opportunity of coming to Uganda for the third time. And you cannot help it when you come the first time without thinking when I'm coming back again and see this beautiful Kampala and the beautiful hills that you are blessed to have. I told somebody yesterday I always remember San Diego in California when I come to Kampala because of these wonderful hills. But also the warmth of the people and the welcome.
Yes.
And then the willingness that they would like to do something and to start something, if it's new or if it's beneficial, you could see that. And then the youth, talking to the youth and talking to clergy, Christians and Muslims, visiting the Ugandan, the Interreligious Council of Uganda, visiting the Supreme Council of the Muslim community, visiting their schools and businesses. This is a wonderful, vibrant community, especially when you visit other African countries.
Yes.
I mean, Uganda has really a lot of positive sides to it. But it is always, as we say, there are rooms to grow, and that's why I feel that it could be easily the hub in East Africa for religious coexistence, for religious tolerance, for interfaith, for promoting these kind of values that are needed for for people not only in Africa but
Yes.
also in Europe and in the Middle East. I was sharing with some of the youth yesterday
Yes.
that you are blessed to have so many tourists coming to your country.
So many.
So I told them, what are your programs to reach out to those tourists beyond the gorillas and beyond visiting the animals and these wild animals and this beauty, the natural beauty of this country?
I'm waiting for that
Yes.
answer. Mhm.
But what are your programs
Yes.
to welcome those tourists from the airport and to have a few of you dressed with your cultural dress and having, you know, orange and lemonade and mango juice and whatever, and small cups, and just telling them welcome to Uganda. And by the way, when you are here in Kampala
Yes.
or in other cities, we have this festival, we have this conference, we have this seminar, and we would love to welcome you and have you. They said, we don't do that. I said, why you don't do it? You have to benefit from the blessings of tourism.
Exactly.
Tourism, this is, I mean, I know this is not the topic of our
Yes, yes,
but
yes.
I just
It
wanted
was
to
just
say
right now, yes.
to our viewers that people say if having, you know, oil in your country is a river of oil, tourism is a river of gold. Tourism is a river of gold.
Of
gold. So you have to benefit from this tourism aspect, and not to, you know, let those people who are coming to your country only see one side. Let them see also religious tolerance. Let them see religious coexistence. Let them see that you are against extremism and terrorism, fanaticism, all these kind of things that has nothing to do with the teachings of Muhammad, peace be upon him, or Jesus, peace be upon all of them.
No.
So this is something I just wanted to say as an introduction.
Thank you very much. I don't know how you preempted my first question. Really, that's how we have ended it nicely. But it goes to the imams. Your fellow imam asks the fellow imam, these tribes who are coming to go for gorillas, to go to mountains, to see ABCD, how do you tap into them? How do you brand yourself to make sure that you position yourself for these tourists, to make sure that they know that you are there? So this is a very important question to the imam from your fellow imam. So, Imam Bashar, you preempted my question. My first question was about the dialogue and interfaith. To tell you this country, Uganda grew up under the pillar of religions. The word Uganda came up after the struggles of the religion. The three religions, three pillars that formed Uganda. They fought for over 15 years. Catholic, Protestant fighting Muslims, Muslim fighting Catholic, Catholic joining Muslims to fight Protestant. And whoever could win could put up a head of state. By that time, it was kingship. So that's how our country grew up. Until they fought and they found themselves not fighting anymore. They said, let's sit down now and form a country called Uganda, to bring all these cultures together to form the country Uganda. So really, when we talk of dialogue and interfaith, it's a very vital issue here in Uganda. And really, my question is two in one. The issue of dialogue and interfaith. The little time you are here in Uganda, are we moving to a right direction, or there are some areas we still miss? We have in the Interreligious Council of Uganda trying to do some good work. Then, the second one, in your a few remarks, don't you think that it's high time the dialogue now shifts from the rest of the religions to concentrate to the Muslims and the Muslim world? That's our question number one, brother Imam.
Okay, let me first start with the importance of dialogue.
Yes.
And importance of interfaith. And then we go to the second one.
The second one.
Because in the second one, please remind me if I did not talk about intrafaith versus interfaith.
Yes.
Because it's so needed. I would like to start with a dialogue that we are told in the Quran that the first dialogue started when God asked the angels to bow to Adam. All of them did except Satan.
All the way back.
All the way back. All the way back. And he refused. He refused the command of Almighty God. And God did not, tell him, you are Satan.
Yes.
You are not listening to me. You are damned to hell. And he killed him right there. He did not. He did not. He just said, why you did not bow? If amartuk, while I'm commanding you. He said, you created him from dust, and you created me from fire. I'm better than him.
Yes.
Just like that. أنا خير منه. I'm better than him.
He's in dialogue with the Creator.
He's in dialogue with God.
Allah.
With Allah.
Subhanallah.
And still Allah is responding to his level of intellect and discussions, and he said, but it's me who is telling you, forget Adam. It's me who is telling you.
Who told you?
He said, well, I'm not going to asjudu li basharin khalaqtahu min tin. I'm not going to bow to somebody you created from. My point is this. Despite the flaws in Satan's responses, God continued to dialogue with him. And then he said, well, get out of heaven. While he is going out, he made a comment that I'm going to be in the path of Adam and his progeny. God said, go get out, and you cannot do anything as long as the sons of Adam are making istighfar and repenting to me. And then he also said, قَالَ رَبِّ أَنظِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. He said, oh Allah, just give me time until the day of judgment.
No.
He said, قَالَ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنظَرِينَ. My Shaykh will say, the first one his dua was answered is Iblis. So that God even granted Iblis the response for his call and dua. My point is this. Why God did not kill Satan? Why God did not destroy?
Yet he had the right to cross him and destroy him completely.
He is saying no to Allah himself, not to human beings. And still Allah is, dealing with him and dialogue.
Rejecting the command of Allah
and
in the presence of all angels.
And he is also making, a threat that I'm going to make a riwayah and to sway Adam and his progeny from your path. I'm going to tempt them to do this. And Allah told us also, if shaitan came close to you, you make istighfar, you say, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ, you read all kind of prayers. But my point is this, if Allah is making a dialogue with somebody like shaitan, what is my responsibility to answer somebody who is a human being like me and him, and he might have even a different views than me? Do I go and kill him? Allah could have had killed shaitan.
Exactly.
But Allah did not to show us that not everybody who is going to say something against your belief and against you personally, you are going to go and use force. No. Allah could have had used force. This is a teaching for us. How do we live on the surface of this earth? Because it is the will of Almighty that people are going to have different perspectives, different religions, different ways of worshipping God.
Exactly.
People are not going to become all Muslims, and people are not going to become all Christians or Jews. So there is a wisdom only known to Almighty. Why there are Hindu and Buddhists and Muslims and Baha'is and all kind of religions. Only Allah knows that. So that's why it is very, very, very important that when you reach the issue of religion and worship, to understand people's perspectives, that you might not agree with them and they might not agree with you, but this is an extremely important topic, that we have to train, first of all, our imams and our clergy, that it is the will of Allah, the will, the will, that there will be people who are different than you. وَلَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكَ لَجَعَلَ النَّاسَ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا. If your Lord wanted, He would have had made all the people one ummah, the same, one religion, one perspective. So He told the Prophet, you only preach the message in kind way, and you don't push. That's it. If the people wanted to listen, fine. If not, لَيْسَ عَلَيْكَ هُدَاهُمْ. Their guidance is not upon you. In another verse, لَا إِكْرَاهَ فِي الدِّينِ. There is no compulsion in religion. In another verse, لَسْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ بِمُسَيْطِرٍ. You have no control over them. So we have, from the family of the Prophet, 3 uncles, for example. You have Hamza, who became Muslim and defended the Prophet. And then you have Abu Talib, who was not Muslim, but he supported the Prophet.
Yes.
And then you have Abu Lahab. Abu Lahab was his uncle. And he gave him hard time in such a way that the Prophet really was hurt by his uncle Abu Lahab. Until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, تَبَّتْ يَدَا أَبِي لَهَبٍ وَتَبٍ. So he cursed Abu Lahab in the Quran because of his actions. But my point, those are the uncles of the Prophet himself.
Exactly.
And we have to learn that in this life you are going to face Abu Lahab, who might do some harm to you, and you have to be patient. And then you are going to have some people who are going to be like you and Muslims and supporting you.
Yes.
And then that's my point, you are going to have Abu Talib in this life.
He must be there.
Who are not Muslims, but they are supporting you 100%.
Allah.
How do you make alliances with Abu Talib likes in this life? In Uganda, in Europe, and in America. Do you search for Abu Talibs? Do you know that there are so many Abu Talibs over there?
They are there.
They are there. And they are not Muslims, but they are so supportive to you because those are human beings.
Can I give you an example?
Who
a local example?
Please.
Of Abu Talib. His Excellency the President of Uganda wrote a letter to his colleagues, 2 of them, to Libya and Saudi Arabia, and told them that other religions have got centers. They have their main centers where they go. But my Muslims, he said, my Muslims don't have a center. Please could you come and put a center that I know that my Muslims are here. So the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, you saw, it is an initiative and the work of President Museveni.
Subhanallah.
Yes.
Subhanallah.
And he supervised that work up to last, writing to his colleague, I want this, let's do this, let's do that. Day per day. That one I was watching with myself. So they are there.
So, and that's where I would like to tell my Muslim brothers and sisters, how many Abu Talibs around you? And what are you doing to reach out to those Abu Talibs and inviting them to your homes, sending them gifts, appreciating their stands, their positions, and also make them feel that they are welcome, and above all, let them know that we are all together for a better Uganda, for a better Africa, for a better Europe, for a better America, for a better Australia, for a better world, because in this world, we are together. We are together. Muslims by themselves, Christians by themselves, Jews by themselves, anyone by themselves cannot rule this world. This world is meant to be for everybody. Muslims and non-Muslims, Christians and non-Christians, Jews and non-Jews, and Africans and Arabs and Americans. In America today we are having problems. Some people, we call them white supremacist groups. They think they are the best. Europe suffered from these white supremacists, and they had the Second World War. and almost 70 million people died of I am better. So we have tried this path,
Yes.
and it was proven that it's not good. Uganda tried this path in the past. They fought for 15 years, and then they said, you know what, let's sit and talk. Well, if they have had listened to Almighty, they could have had saved all of these lives.
Exactly.
So my message to the beautiful people of Uganda,
Yes.
that you have to think of making your country as a hub for religious tolerance, religious coexistence, for entrepreneurship, of leadership, for people to invest and to feel safe and to feel welcomed and to feel loved, that in our country there is no problem. And then my message to my Muslim brothers and sisters,
Yes.
whom I have visited in their schools, in their universities, please, please, please remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us about Maryam, a long chapter, about Ali Imran, the family of Jesus, a long chapter after Al-Baqarah,
Yes.
to tell us that they are part of our Quran, and the miracles that happened to Mary's mother when she was pregnant with Mary, and then the miracles that happened to Jesus, and then the miracles that happened to Zakaria alayhi salam, all of that is part of our Quran, in order to share that with the Christians in a nice way, and just to let them know that we as Muslims, by the way, your Jesus is part of our Quran.
Completely.
Your Mary is part of our Quran.
Is it?
As a matter of fact, a lot of Muslims call their daughters Maryam.
Yes.
One of my daughters, Maryam.
Maryam.
So a lot of Muslims, they call their children Isa. But you don't have some of the Christians call their children Muhammed.
Why? Why is it?
But it is part of our Quran to call our Muslim kids
Isa.
Isa, to call them Musa, to call them Zakaria. So I'm just giving you an example. We share these thoughts with others just to let them know that, look,
No.
Islam is a religion of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, religion of Rahmah, religion of mercy, religion of love, religion of Salam, and I'm so happy to be in Salam TV.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my brother Imam Bashar. We are going for a short break, but when we come from the break, if I pose the second question, there is something I want you to comment in 1 minute when we come back from a short break. Why people, a few fellow Imam like you, say that this issue of interfaith and dialogue is an issue, is a mission of Western people? Is it true? Why do they say so? Yet you've brought it from the first origin of Adam, the dialoguing, but they say this is the mission of Western world. Why is it so? Our viewers, we are with Imam Bashar and Imam, visiting Imam from America. Don't go away, we are coming back briefly. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back from our short break. Our viewers who have moved with us since we started this program, we have our guest, Imam Bashar from America. We thank you for being with us, and really, I think in the first part of our program, you have benefited a lot. If you haven't, I have benefited multiple. And my brothers behind the cameras are smiling, excited to get good words from our Imam. Imam, you are most welcome for our second part of the program.
Thank you.
And for the people who have joined us, I remind you that Imam Muhammed Bashar Arafat from America is the founder of Al-Bashir Seminary Interfaith Center Institute. So when we are talking on issues of interfaith, he's just a drop in an ocean. He's giving us literal information for the literal time we have with him here. And we thank him for sparing time to be here for the program, which is being strictly followed by our great embassy, the American embassy, which is really following him and trying to facilitate that he moves nicely to us. So, being with us on Salam, we are very grateful, Imam. I better remind you that our imams, really, when you see Imam Bashar, and for your information, for the 2 days you have been here, I have received, and I know even other colleagues of mine have received multiple invitations of various imams to make sure that they talk to you.
Thank you.
Wallahi, I'm excited really to see that the way you have loved our imam, this gives us more encouragement and gives us more hope and to create more time to make sure that imam, and we are going to request his institute in Maryland, Baltimore,
Washington.
You see here the pronunciation of some places in America, it becomes a problem. But Maryland, that's easier. It's near Washington, D.C. You are there, you just reach there. But for the imams, he has created for East African training imams. That one is there, Islamic history, and so many programs about going on in this Al-Bashir Interfaith Institute. It's a seminary, so it's a matter of learning more. He has given us all the information, which we shall be distributing to you. It's our duty as Salam TV to make sure that we avail to you this information. Brother Imam, when we went for a short break, we were winding up on the issue of the dialogue and interfaith, and I said some of your fellow Imam say that this is the mission of the Western countries to neutralize Islam, to put a stumbling block about Islam. Well, do you accept, you heard about that, or it is here only in Uganda?
I would like to start first by saying the one who is in control of this world is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
None.
First of all.
Yes.
And the way Allah works is different than you and me or people in the West and people in the East. People in the West and in the East, they think that they are in control. But actually the one who is in control is Allah.
No.
And the way Allah works, that if anybody is going to stand in the face of Allah's message, then Allah will make His children to propagate this message. So if Pharaoh said, I'm going to kill all the kids, so no one will threaten my throne. And in another word, if he would like to stand in front of Allah's will, then the way Allah works is to make Musa grow up in his palace. That's the way Allah works. Okay? The one who is in control is Allah.
No.
The Meccans who tried to kill Prophet Muhammad for 13 years in Mecca, and they followed him even to the cave of Thawr, and they surrounded the cave thinking that this is the last footsteps we are following, and how come he might be here? There are pigeons and there are spider web, so it's impossible that he is inside. All of those people, their children were the best of the Sahaba later on. That's how Allah works. So for those people who are saying that this is a Western agenda, or this agenda or that agenda, I would like to tell them, go back and read history. So I would like to remind your listeners that your brother is somebody who migrated from Damascus, Syria, 28 years ago, and found the support and the encouragement from the American society. I'm not talking about the American government. I'm talking about the American people. They saw the need for the true message of Islam to be heard. And I got so many invitations from the churches, from the universities, from the NGOs. Please come and speak. Please come and teach us. So now these universities and these churches are asking me and other imams, who are, showing the true message of Islam, please come and teach us. Now, those have nothing to do with the American government. Why? Because the Constitution of the United States, not Trump, not Obama, not Bush, not Clinton, the Constitution of the United States guarantee your religious freedom as an American citizen, as somebody who holds green card even, not a citizenship. The problem with us as Muslims living in America, sometimes we have no programs and no projects to do overseas and around the world. I sit in America and I see how Christian NGOs, Jewish NGOs and others are doing programs around the world. And then I say to myself, what's wrong with me not to have my own NGO and not to have my own interfaith programs to be around the world? So now, when I do it in other countries, some people will say, you see, he is a CIA Imam, he is an FBI Imam. I tell them, I'm sorry, you don't understand the nature of the American society and the Western society. To give you one more thing, today, because of the war in Syria, so many Syrians, as well as Iraqis, as well as others from the Middle East, are migrating to Europe and migrating to America. Some of them as refugees and some of them as immigrants. Have you seen some of these images?
We have seen them. But if I can release one Quran there, do you know what he can ask? But Trump has just away for the Muslim there.
But what?
In fact, President Trump, doesn't work with the Muslims. That's the talk here in Uganda.
Before I come to
I don't know if it is a lack of information.
No. Before I come to President Trump, I
Yes.
would like to tell your listeners about the American society and the American Constitution.
Exactly.
Because throughout the history, we have so many politicians who said or did something against the American Constitution. That did not go through. That did not go through. So I would like to let you know, first, before we come to these issues, the interfaith dialogue today.
Yes.
This is the responsibility of Muslims living in America to emphasize on the teachings of the Quran. On the Quran, I'm not talking about the American agenda or the European agenda. I'm talking about the Quran agenda. What is the Quran agenda?
Yes.
The Quran agenda is, Ya ayyuhan nas, O mankind,
Yes.
we created you from a single pair of male and female. إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُم مِّن ذَكَرٍ وَأُنثَى وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. We made you nations and tribes that you may know one another.
One another.
This is the agenda of the Quran. This is the agenda of the Quran. So it is my responsibility as Muslim living in America, in a globalized society, where I'm seeing there are a lot of groups today. Groups.
Yes.
That's the problem, that we are not seeing countries declaring that they are fighting America or fighting Europe. We are seeing ISIS want to fight. We are seeing Boko Haram. We are seeing Al-Shabaab. We are seeing all these kind of little groups who have a lot of suspicion. Who is funding them? Who is training them? And as you read and I'm reading, we have a lot of question marks about those groups. So, to me, this is really a very critical question. There are all of these groups. Where are the other groups who are also promoting the true message of Islam? Why they are not as famous as the other groups? Because sometimes the media is not interested in the work of people who are doing interfaith. But some media is interested with ISIS to show you that they are beheading somebody 24 hours, showing it to you again and again and again and again.
Exactly.
And they are showing you what Boko Haram is doing again and again and again, as if there is no other
other
organizations
activities.
except Boko Haram and Shabab and ISIS. Where are the thousands and thousands of interfaith groups
Yes.
in America and in Europe who are doing wonderful work? Why the media is not showing them constantly? So, from
Where are we going wrong as media? What do you think?
that's why I'm just saying that it is our responsibility now in America to show the work of Abu Talib in
Exactly.
America and to come to Uganda in alliance activities with others, that this is a message, the cooperation, not only the Muslims, this is the message of all the prophets. So interfaith has almost 90% of commonalities. And then there are 10%, this is strictly to you as Muslim. This is strictly to him as a Christian. This is strictly to him as a Jewish or to her as Jewish. Interfaith, you can work with 90%.
Yes.
And the 10%, those are your own theology. I cannot touch it, and it's better for me not to go there.
No.
And for you not to go to the other people's 10%. That's the beauty of interfaith. So that's why you need to train those imams for that. But today, because of the American society and the freedom we have in America,
Yes.
When people like me and others want to do programs, we are blamed by others as an American agenda. And I tell them it's not American agenda, this is the American national atmosphere in America. This is the American culture. This is the American trait. This is the American Constitution.
Yes.
This is the way we live our life in America, respecting cultural diversity, respecting religious diversity, respecting your talents as an Indian American, Chinese American, Arab American, Pakistani American. I mean, America is, voted for Obama twice.
Yes.
And he is the son of a Kenyan.
Yeah.
So
Obama.
twice.
Kenya.
Kenyan. I mean, that shows you that the people in America are ready to listen. But today also, a lot of Americans are very much disturbed by what Trump have said or have done. So they stood out. And one example, and they said no. And they said no to a lot of what
For the first time when it was Saturn Airport, I saw Muslims were after pronunciation of those I don't say controversial statements because he knows why he said so. We saw even non-Muslims praying with the Muslims at the airport, being part of them. We wondered.
That's why I'm saying that if you don't live in America,
Maybe
you don't see.
politics.
Just to give you an example, we have an acting attorney general who said no to President Trump. And yes, she was fired. Yes, she lost her job. But she's a woman, and she said to the president, excuse me, this is not constitutional, this is unconstitutional, and I'm not going to apply it. I don't know if you have read the news about Sally Yates.
Exactly.
What does that tell you? I mean, that tells you that for us as Muslims living in America, when we see a woman like Sally Yates, saying no to the president, that, wow, what kind of a society is this? What kind of a society that a woman can say no?
No.
That, by the way, I miss this in the Middle East. I miss this in the Gulf countries. I miss this in countries that they call themselves Muslims. And then you will see some kind of dictatorship. That's what I like about the American society. And that's why I migrated to America 27 years ago, because I felt as a Muslim I can do more programs from America. I have a lot of concerns about America's foreign policy, and I express my concerns in Washington. I have a lot of disagreement with the way sometimes we fight terrorism.
Yes.
To me, it's not about only fighting terrorists, but it's about fighting terrorism. And the way you fight terrorism, you have to start with education, and you have to start also with training the imams, and you have to create opportunities for the youth. So we have a lot of debate in Washington. To me, fighting terrorism and extremism requires a lot of engagement, requires a lot of funding to train those youth, to train those imams,
Exactly.
To help them understand how the world is moving, to provide opportunity for the future leaders of tomorrow to travel, to see by themselves, and then to come back, and for them to be, the trainers. So this is to me a lot of programs that does exist, but it is my responsibility to encourage more and more programs like this.
Thank you very much. My great viewers, I assured you that we are at the ocean of information. Really, I would say that I asked just a minute question. It has taken our second part of it. But don't mind, we are with the Imam, we'll engage him, we'll make sure that at least every week we trace him where he is, and keep yourself on Salam TV. We will make sure that we do something in cooperation with the American Embassy and the rest of our brothers in the United States to make sure that we reach Imam Bashar. Thank you very much. As we wind up our program, Imam, I wanted you to comment on the issue of extremism. This extremism, especially in our societies here, what could be the cause? Could you explain that in just 1.5 minutes? What should be the cause of extremism?
First of all, I just would like to remind everybody that 3 people came to the mosque of the Prophet, and they said to themselves, you know, when the Prophet ﷺ dies, he will be in the highest levels of heaven, and we are just ordinary believers, Muslims. You know, we will be in the lowest, ranks and positions. So one of them said, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to marry women for the rest of my life. And somebody said, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to eat meat for the rest of my life. And somebody said, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to fast for the rest of my life. The Prophet heard from his home, from his room, he came out and he said, I have heard 3 people saying, and he said that. He said, I am the closest of you to God and the one who is most righteous, but I do marry women and I do eat meat and I do fast and break the fast.
Yes.
That shows you to go to the extreme, even in worship, is not the way of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. To go to the extreme and donating all of your money for charity and good causes
your resources
and leave your family behind poor is not Islamic. This is not the tradition of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Said to somebody who wanted to give everything, he said, and what did you leave behind for your children and for your family? And then he said, لَأَن تَذَرَ وَرَثَتَكَ أَغْنِيَا خَيْرٌ مِّنْ أَن تَذَرَهُمْ فُقَرَاء يَتَعَفَّفُونَ النَّاسِ أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. To leave your family and household rich and they have enough, better than to leave them poor asking for help. That shows you even to go to extreme. In sadaqah or in prayer. Once the Prophet entered and he saw a rope in the roof, and he said, what this rope is doing here? They said, Ya Rasulullah, this is for so and so of his wives, that she tie that at night while she is praying tahajjud, so if she felt tired, she will not fall. He said, no, hulluh, untie that rope and get it down. ليصلي أحدكم نشاطه فإذا فتر فليقعد. Let some of you pray while he or she are, awake. And when they feel tired, let them go to sleep. So that shows you even extreme in worship is not the tradition of the Prophet. But what we are seeing today, for some people who are taking the law in their hands, and they want to go and kill anybody who they think, because he is not believing their beliefs or not, fitting the Islamic agenda, their Islamic agenda, their mentality, their twisted teachings, and to go and kill. This is something forbidden by the teachings of the Quran, by the teachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we need to be really careful the way we preach our message, the way we share our message with our youth. I was sharing an example with the class at KIU yesterday by saying that Rasulullah, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he made tawaf around the Kaaba for 13 years, and it has 360 idols. and he's making tawaf around this Kaaba. 360 idols. He could have had destroyed those idols, but the time was not the time to talk about them and to remove them. And even when they migrated to Medina, they were praying to the Qibla after it was changed from Jerusalem to Mecca, and it has 360 idols, and they were praying toward the Qibla. Why he didn't change that? Well, there were other things more important.
Yes.
It was changed later on when he did Fatih Mecca, but my point is, we need today scholars who will tell this youth now. I mean, today the whole image of Islam is tainted with terrorism and violence and extremism, and that the women have no rights, the women have no opportunities to learn,
Yes.
the women have no opportunities to grow in their social entrepreneurship. So we have a lot of things to talk about and to do. When it comes to changing al-munkar, changing the things that they are wrong, you have to be very wise how you change it and how you make things better. We don't want to follow certain methods that will result in a bigger munkar than the munkar that was already. So this is where the wise scholars comes into play, and that's the role of the scholars, to educate their youth, to educate the women, to educate the whole society, how to have a stronger Uganda, a stronger Africa, wherever they are, stronger Indonesia. For me, I travel in other countries, and I see that there are some groups are going and recruiting those those youth, and they are really brainwashing them to follow on these messages of terrorism and violence and extremism, and to take this gun, to take these rifles, and to do something that really the Quran spoke against that, and the teachings of the Prophet spoke against that.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Imam, thank you very much for that explanation. As we wind up on that point and see what we would benefit from you as Ugandans for other days to come, the problem here, again, about there is misinterpretation of some issues. Like dressing, it becomes an issue here. Some hadiths, and so many issues. It is becoming a problem here in Uganda to some sheikhs, the way they interpret issues. When this one interprets this way, and this one interprets this way, the other one is a kafir, the other one is cast, is chased out from Islam. Is it the same where you were or all over the world you travel, or it's a problem here in Uganda only? The sheikhs fighting each other, the imams, about misinterpretation of some issues. Let's say, give you example, that when we are going for burial, there would be some maybe tahleer, someone would be saying Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, the other one said keep quiet, the other. So you find this one is reading a hadith, the other one is reading, the other one is not strong, the other one is weak. It's a big problem here in Uganda. How can we handle that?
The scholars normally, they know the other people from the way they talk and the way they judge people. And this is today a problem, because unfortunately we are lacking education, we are lacking the wisdom in approaching things. We have to understand that the tradition of the Prophet ﷺ has been interpreted in different times by different scholars in so many ways. So we really have to have respect for other people's opinions and other people's differences. Imagine if the Shafi'is were going to tell the Hanafis and the Malikis and the Hanbalis that you are all going to go to hell because you are not following my way. we have to learn how the scholars respected each other and how respected the differences. Respecting the differences of others, that's what the Quran is teaching us, and that's how the Sahaba dealt with each other, and that's how the scholars dealt with each other. Just to give you an example, once it has been reported that Imam Shafi'i was praying next to the grave of Imam Hanafi, and during Fajr he did not make qunut. According to Shafi'is, they make dua qunut after the second rak'ah at Fajr. So when he finished, his students, they said, "Ya Imam, you didn't make qunut." He said, "I did not make qunut out of respect for the one who is buried here, and that is Imam Abu Hanifa, because according to him, he did not get that about the hadith of the qunut of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ after Fajr." My point is this: they respected each other even after death. He respected his opinion.
Difference in the opinion. Yes.
Even after the death of Imam Abu Hanifa. That shows you the utmost level of your iman is when you respect your brothers and sisters, even if they are different. Not to go and right away cast them. You are fasiq, this is bid'ah, and this is kufr, and this is shirk, and this kind of ideology of making others outside of Islam started appearing a lot, in the past 150 years, and became more and more strong, almost in the past 70 years, and now has been spreading all over the Arab and the Muslim world. And everywhere this kind of ideology exists, you will see problems and divisions within Muslims. To an extent, now people will say, "Oh, this is a Shia mosque. That's okay. Go and destroy. Go and kill." And others would say, "This is a Sunni mosque. Go and kill and go and destroy." This is really a problem. The scholars have been talking about this. The scholars have been addressing those issues. So when it comes to the dress of the women, when it comes to the dress of the men, whether it is a suit and tie, whether it is a pant, whether it is a jalabiya, there is something more important, and that is the way you address your brothers and sisters, that you don't end up with تنابزوا بالألقاب. You don't go casting names and saying bad names to others. So if there are certain things that you don't agree with, you address it in the utmost level of respect to others, and you just show your opinion. Maybe because of your manners and akhlaq and muamala, the others might accept your opinion. But again, we really have to look again how we address one another when there are certain things are different.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. My dear viewers, we are with Imam Bashar from America, and we are going through various issues which we cannot complete today. But in 1 minute, Imam Bashar, you have been here, this is the third time coming here. Really, Ugandans needs you. Could you put some continuous program here in Uganda? Do you have that in future? What do you see? We need you.
And I need Uganda now because I feel Uganda is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought me now for the third time. And that encouraged me to submit a proposal of bringing this international youth conference that we do in the United States, and we call it Better Understanding for a Better World. And we have students from 68 countries. I thought it would be nice to bring it to Uganda. A conference for the youth, to be for Tanzania and Kenya and other countries to come to Uganda. And we call it Better Understanding for a Better World. I hope that we can hold it in 2018 for Muslims and Christians and others. And also I look forward to have an international women leadership development programs to empower women from all religions and all cultures. And that will be tied with different women summits, global women summits in Asia and the Middle East and in Europe, in America. and women from Uganda, they can also join. And the other one is really to hold a conference, as I was talking to the Uganda Muslim Teacher Association, who met with me, 50 representatives of this respected organization, and they told me, no, we don't have so many programs between Muslim teachers and Christian teachers. So we made the agreement to also, the verbal agreement with them to come next year, and also to include with this UBW a day before or a day after a special conference for the Muslim teachers and Christian teachers of these public and private schools here in Uganda. And the last one is conferences for the alumni of the exchange programs that are for the Imams, whether it is we call it IOP, International Observers Program, or the Credible Voices, that when they come back from America, it will be nice to follow up and do conferences for the clergy that will invite Imams and invite priests and to talk about common issues facing Uganda, Africa, and the whole world, and the role of religious leaders in handling sensitive questions and sensitive issues.
Alhamdulillah. We thank you, Imam Bashar, for your time. My dear viewers, I'm very sure that we are with Imam. Given those a few, everybody's going to benefit, youth, women, teachers, Imams mentioned. So really, Imam, we are so grateful to consider Uganda to be part of your programs.
Thank you.
And I can assure you that Ugandans are in need, and we'll be with you. We'll see where we can also be part of those programs.
I'm honored to partner with the people of Uganda and this wonderful country.
Thank you very much. As we wind up, one simple statement to your viewers as you say bye to them.
Your country is really blessings from Almighty. Trying to share these blessings with the rest of the world.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. He has been our Imam, the Imam Muhammed Bashar, Arafat from America. We have gone through various issues. I remind you today that those who still have time, we can proceed to Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, where he's going to lead us in the sermon, to lead us in Jummah prayer. So inshallah, we meet there. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah khair.
Thank you. It's really an honor and a pleasure when I come back.